It's a global issue, feeding the world's growing population. The challenge does not only include the increasing number of mouths to feed, but the increasing pressure on agricultural lands and the sustainability of the crop production systems. For small nations and its small farmers, it is imperative to adopt best farming practices. That's the reason for the PlantWise initiative, a global program that is being managed by CABI. PlantWise aims to improve food security by reducing crop losses.
In the Caribbean, farmers, in particular small farmers, have a good access to extension service. However, they tend to ignore this service and rely more on the agri-shops for advice, resulting in an abuse or overuse of chemicals. What PlantWise is doing is training frontline extension staff to be able to diagnose any pest or disease problem on any crop and to make effective recommendations to farmers that is cost effective, practical and timely to reduce the incidence of pest and disease and therefore increase yields.
For example, in Trinidad, christophene farmers are primarily located in the northern range, an environmentally significant area. It is therefore critical that their farming practices are environmentally responsible and sustainable.
Well, since I was born, I know about christophene. But it's something that was never, it still is not something that managed properly then would look like a big business. It's something that we grow and we see it growing natural and we just continue, we just picking and selling. But I say something, we now know knowing how to manage and really to do a business and to really make money out of it.
Like Anthony, many farmers in Trinidad have used traditional practices in order to produce their christophene crop. However, with data from Brazil and Costa Rica showing year-round harvests and higher yields, PlantWise is now advising local farmers to rethink their production strategy with the help of CABI and its stakeholders.
There's a gap between the science and implementing the science and what farmers actually do. You might say there's an extension gap, right? So the PlantWise organization seems to be another, if not a new approach to bringing more actors into the game.
Basically to alert them to maybe changes in terms of what they might have to, in terms of to deal with problems in the christophene that they're experiencing now, and to strengthen the relationships between all the different bodies like CABI and NAMDEFCO and so on, and even the farmers groups, so that making the christophene production more effective.
The first thing is we don't have any breeding work here in Trinidad, especially to study the genetic potential of the crop plant, because that is very important for maximizing the yield. And so we should have the breeding program so as to develop the high genetic potential crop which can yield very much. And another thing is we do not have standard crop production practices like the application of the fertilizer and the application of irrigation systems. So we have to standardize that. And in addition to that, we have a major problem, that is a disease problem, the gummy stem blight disease. So we have to develop the management practices in sustainable way so that we will be able to develop the christophene industry.
CABI has been hosting plant clinics at the MYCOO wholesale market since 2014. During clinic days, trained plant health assistants diagnose common problems and recommend practical and effective ways to reduce their incidence and control them. One of the main recommendations coming out of the clinic is the implementation of crop rotation, as farmers have admitted to using the same fields for up to 15 years. That resulted in a serious infestation of the gummy stem blight in 2015.
One of the main recommendations of an integrated crop management strategy is crop rotation. However, for farmers in the Caribbean, and in particular, for example, the christophene farmers, this is not a very practical recommendation because they grow the crop in some instances up to 15 years on the same plot of land. So therefore, what PlantWise is doing with its other stakeholders is advising farmers in terms of improving the best practices for growing the crop to ensure that this fertility is right, the soil moisture is right, and that they adopt a trellis system that reduces the high humidity in the crop, which favors the gummy stem blight, which is a significant disease reducing yields in christophene.
CABI believes that improving advice to farmers on controlling common pest and disease problems will result in fewer samples being sent to the diagnostic laboratory at Centeno. As a consequence, more resources will be available to focus on new and emerging problems before they can affect crop yields.
And I see at this present time, they are showing some interest with the farmers and really working along with us, because before, if we had to carry something, we mightn't get what causing the disease, or we might just drop it. Long time you carry it in Centeno, and you might never hear nothing from it after that. But today they take samples and we are seeing results from it, and they given us things that we could use, pesticides or whatsoever.
I'm working on the biopesticide development, and also I'm planning to develop some IPM strategies for the sustainable management of this particular disease in christophene.
PlantWise takes into consideration both the generational farmer and the planter who may be new to a crop. The aim is always lose less, feed more.
Well, as I know, christophene from small is something good for diet. It's good for pressure. You know, it's something good that we are accustomed eating it. The young ones just like that. You put it in the salad. You know, now they're using it to do when you're making the raisins and things like that, or put in the cake and the sweet bread. So, if people really know the benefit out of christophene, we have enough to sell in Trinidad.
They are interested in maybe improving the techniques that exist, that they currently practice, which has been something that has been passed on to them maybe from their fathers and so on. And so I see it being a way to stimulate, and based on the questions I hear coming out, the farmers are asking, they're starting to think more of the lines of improving in their technology and towards increasing their yields, because that is at the end of the day, it is to increase your yields and obviously hopefully your profit margins.
At the plant clinics, farmers bring a sample of the infected crops with pests or diseases. Trained experts then diagnose the problem and gives the farmer a prescription form to go to the agro shops to get a solution that is practical, timely, safe, and most importantly, cost effective. This data then goes into a database that allows the Agriculture Ministry to analyze the data and come up with policies for improving the control and management of pests and diseases in the country, and in addition to other things such as gender issues and other policy issues to improve the support to the farming sector.
Some farmers are concerned that once problems with pests and diseases are solved, there may be a glut on the market. However, PlantWise stakeholders believe that this fear is unfounded, as consistent yields may mean less fluctuation in its prices and a more dependable supply.
I was telling the farmers that it's no longer a MYCOO market or a Davie market or a Trinidad market or a New York market. It's now a global market, because goods moving freely across the world, and we have to be able to compete with that. If we don't improve in packaging and all that, we won't be able to compete. Looking at the prices, I was showing them, for example, that while the US is a big importer of christophene, our prices are too high. Our cost of production here probably too high, or the market price is too high. So there's no incentive to really go into the US market. If we were to produce more, what need to come with it is that finding regional markets. Martinique, Guadeloupe might be good markets, Barbados, St. Martin, Antigua, the tourist islands where they produce very little food and they import quite a lot. That might be the way to go.
Agriculture is a highly scientific activity, you know. When we refer to farming, farming is science. What is more needed now is that, or more urgently needed, is that the science, that the farmers, that the extension people embrace the science better, teach the science better, and afford the farmers or the practitioners an opportunity to learn the science and to use it in a more relevant way.